Yourself. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very special episode of Creative Spirits Podcast. This is one of our two interludes between the seasons, but much more importantly, this is the episode where we launch Kate Darnell's Poems to a Wild Gypsy Spirit. We are so excited. It was published yesterday, and I've heard a couple of the poems, and guys, you're going to love them. If you like this podcast, these poems are going to speak to your soul. And without any pressure on you, Kate,
No,
because
no
they
pressure.
really are awesome.
I didn't write
the
them. Gypsy wrote them. It's fine.
There we go. Yes. I would love for you to start the podcast with opening a poem, and then we'll talk about the whole process and the publishing and everything. But let's open it and set the tone with one of your beautiful poems, because it just speaks to me.
Okay, let's do this. So one of the earlier poems in the book, Poems to a Wild Gypsy Spirit, it's titled Dance Like a Wild Gypsy. Dear Gypsy, your time is here. The writing began, the healing began, a soul rediscovered. Her wild soul had been hidden for so long, trapped inside a people pleaser, a being who had tried her best, yet didn't know deep happiness. She found it when she met her gypsy. Entangled, stuck, she was ready to explode. No one was to blame. Everyone had been trying their best in a world where approval, judgment, criticism flowed freely, habitually. It suddenly made sense to her. Her essence was being contained, and all the while her wild gypsy waited patiently, watched and waited from beneath the earth, knowing and trusting that the right time, the divine time, would come. These moments created true healing and awakening, a whole world of love exploding, rising, risen, the beginning of something so wild, the safest she had ever felt. So, Gypsy, tell me, where have you been? I have been contained. I have been suppressed. I have been buried beneath stagnant mud, ready, waiting, wanting to be kind, to prosper, to be my own magic. I've been dancing in the wild, smiling in the sunshine, celebrating whenever I could. I have been free of criticism, free of self and others. Her reply created salty tears, the taste of sweet medicine, truth spoken, space held with love. Ah, Gypsy. I'm going to clap myself.
Exactly. No, it's, oh God, you should. Like, seriously, I'd be so proud if I wrote that. I'd be like, look at me, everybody. I'm a poet.
Says
one
my
that
writing
creates real magical healing. Seriously, it was just like, because I think, as a creative, as a mother, as, someone who also loves traveling, all of that, I think that's what's so wonderful about these poems, is that they really speak to people who are like trapped somehow and still see the spark, or even sometimes fear that spark is gone, but know that they once had it. And that's exactly what this book does. I think it really is a healing journey of poems to reawaken your wild gypsy spirit. And I think it's just perfect that we open with that. And it really fits into the whole podcast theme of going deep, rediscovering yourself, taking that gypsy spirit by the hand and pulling it out into the world and dancing with her and allowing her into your life and allowing it to, have that magic again. You're allowed to have the magic, whether you're 20, 50, 80, or 100, like the magic is important, and she's still there if you're willing to go in there. She
and
might
Gypsy's
be under the stagnant mud, but she's there.
She's there, and she's ready. She's ready to come out. Like, I think we all are like, oh, well, that's okay for Kate to say. And we've talked about this in our podcast a lot. Like, oh, well, that's all right for them. No, this is all of our birthrights, to be in this world, living authentically, real, open-hearted. And for me personally, that poem was really saying goodbye to the people pleaser. Like, oh yeah, no. Gypsy's like, no.
But I think this is perfect for this podcast, because I think in order to become a writer, and I would love to talk to you about this as part of the book launch, is how do you go from that person who wants to be a writer, because there's so many of us who are in that group. I mean, I think the people who want to be a writer way outnumber, unfortunately, the people who are writers, who then drastically outnumber those who are authors. So you can be, there's the wannabe writers who just are terrified to put their pen to paper. They do it once a year. I was that person for a long time, you know, just wanting to be that writer. And then finally, you know, to make that transition to the person who does write, but you're still terrified to publish until finally into that person, you know, it's the funnel, unfortunately, it gets smaller and smaller to that person who's holding the book. And I think this poem really speaks to that process, but I would love to hear a bit more from you on that whole development.
Well, I think I've only called myself a writer this year since publishing Letters to a Tibetan Monk, which is the first of this trilogy, by the way. Gypsy's number 2 and Ramblings to an Awakened Spirit will be number 3. But, you know, yeah. So
nice one.
Gypsy had to get
I haven't heard that one yet.
Gypsy had to
absolutely.
be published because Rambling Spirit was Ramblings was just like blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, hang on, Gypsy needs my attention. But yeah, so the question, focus, Kate, focus. I'm just so excited. If anyone can hear the difference between our podcast and tonight, I'm like, oh, I read my poem. It's in a book. But the whole process of becoming a writer, well, I still remember it so clearly. It's when this beautiful soul sitting opposite me here, Sherry McCartney from Creative Mermaids, just gently suggested that I break up with ego. And said, well, if you've got things to say, say them. And I said to her, I've got these journals and I feel like I'm going to publish them. And she said, well, do it. What are you waiting for? She was like, who are you waiting to give you permission to do that? And I was like, well, it turns out I was waiting for you, Sherry. Thank you. But
I give everyone permission right now, so go for it.
There's your permission. And together now we can give everyone permission that if there's any kind of creative spark within you, let it out, whether it is dance, music, writing. And of course, today we're focusing on writing. So the poems, I realized I actually had written the poems at the very beginning of the book a couple of years ago when I started my spiritual rising and I started my business. I actually have the original poem still on a doodle, lots of pretty colors. And, you know, it actually said Gumboots by the Sea, Love and Poetry. And that was just me dreaming. You know, I didn't ever think in a million years that I would have Letters to a Tibetan Monk, much less than Poems to a Wild Gypsy Spirit, like, you know, ready to share with the world. It's just, my mind is blown. But yeah, it happened with the discussion with Sherry and me investing, just like I'd invested in my own healing to create my healing business, me investing in a writer's coach, me investing in Sherry so that I could say, you know what, I need to break up with ego. I need to get over this inner dialogue that's telling me I'm not good enough. Because do you know what, beautiful souls? We can just call bullshit on that right now. We all have something to share. And I'm very blessed to have a beautiful, beautiful support team. Caroline from Wild Heart Rising, my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful besties who have just supported me and read and encouraged. I remember my friend Jenna gave me the journal and was like, you have another thing to write, keep going. My beautiful friend Emily's like, just show me them. Let's just get them out there, you know. So when all that fear and everything came up, I just kept talking. I just kept saying, my friend just reminded me the other day, she's like, you already are a writer, so why are you having this fear? I was like, started to get tonsillitis and feel really sick because I was repressing that oh, well, no, I was downplaying. I was justing myself again. Oh, it's just this. It's only short. And, you know, so all of those challenges would come up again. I've gotten totally off track here, but to answer the original question.
Actually, I think that's fantastic. I do want to come back to that afterwards. This constant coming back circle. So please go on, but I want to come back to that.
Yeah. So, to answer the whole question, I just started and I just decided I'm a writer, and I'm a writer first. Writing is my creative happy place. I write, I teach meditation, I spiritually guide, and the writing is the healing.
I love it.
The writing is what I offer other beautiful souls, and that's really empowering too, because, you know, the universe will throw tests, and then I'm like, no, this is where I go. The Gypsy got finished because I started to experience a little bit of inner turmoil, and I went, no, focus on your writing, and that's what Source will always tell me to do. Default to writing. Nice. Yeah. So I just started because Sherry said so. creative mermaids held my hand and
Now
said,
you got 2 books.
break up with ego. Now I have
It's been
2.
a year. 2 books in 1 year. Yes.
2 books in 6 months.
Oh, that's right. It was December, wasn't it?
December.
We started working together in November.
August. 2 books in 8 months. But, you know, no. And that's incredible.
But I love this because you would think, yes, exactly. But you know what? I think this is fantastic because this is something I think we all do to ourselves. We also think that the more time in between the books, and it's true, the more time in between books, the more likely you are to start beating yourself up and thinking it's been too long, I've lost my chance, you know, the momentum's not there. All, you know, ego stories coming in to break up with. But I also love that I think, and you said, you know, like you already got the first book out, a couple months later, you're re-dealing with these ego issues.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to talk about because we all go through it. Even Dean Koontz, who's got like, what, 100, 200 books out? He said that he needs to go into his library and say, I've done it before, I can do it again. I mean, this man makes millions. And you can argue, okay, he's not, you know, a literary writer or whatever, but he is making bank from his books. People are buying them, you know. But again, and this is also where ego comes in because, you know, if you're making money from your books, well, then you're not writing. You know, you're writing fluff. And if you're not making money from your books, then you're not a real writer because you're not, you know, like.
Who are we to say any of that, you know? And like, I would pull myself up, let alone other people. Oh, but they're self-published. How did most of the best writers, authors get found? By, you know what, going, I'm going to do this myself. Ruby Kaur, I'm going to do this myself then. And of course she got found. Like, if you don't start Beautiful Souls, you'll never know. You will never know. And yeah, my books are totally going to get found when they're meant to. And if they don't, they're helping, they're touching souls, they're reaching people, they're helping me. I'm happy. Yeah. And just so
I think this is
happy when they get found too.
Well, and this is the essential part though, is again, this is the giving yourself permission. The giving yourself permission to reach one person or reach a million or reach the whole world. Because in the end, if you do not give yourself permission to reach one person, you will never reach the millions. Because you need to accept that it might go out there and just find one perfect person. And ego tells you, then that's not good enough. If you're not reaching everybody, then don't do it. It's bullshit. We know it's bullshit because, again, it can't reach everybody if it doesn't touch that one person. And maybe it's not this book that does the touching. Maybe, oh, hello, monkeys. Sorry. We just had a tumbling naked children come through the cockpit. Sorry, guys.
Wild Gypsy Spirit. Be what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fully support
exactly.
it. There's naked dancing in Wild
yes,
Gypsy Spirit.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
And there's laughter, you know, it's all good. And I got distracted, but I'll come back. Yes, but I think this is important, how ego likes to stop us. And I think that, again, guys, it doesn't matter if you're publishing a book every month or you're publishing a book once every 10 years. These voices keep coming back, which I think I would like to talk to you now, too, about the whole launch. And then we'll read another poem. But beforehand, the question is, like, how did you feel? Because this is something I'm always interested in, and I think a lot of writers struggle with. Yeah, this is your second book. So you got your first book in your hand. You're so super excited, you know, like, and then what happens if the momentum goes down a little bit? Like, how does that feel? How do you get yourself back again? Because I think this is something that we forget. We talked about it earlier in one of the podcasts of, as you start working towards a goal, you're no longer that person who first started. So when you get the book, you know, if you could jump that whole process, you have a very different experience than the person who gets home after doing months of work. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I would love to talk a little bit about that because there's been so much looking back over Gypsy where I'm like, oh, but my poems are different now. And the next poem I'm actually going to write, it's perfect. We didn't even plan this. The next poem I'm going to read is called Evolve. And it's that you never make that constant state. When I first met Gypsy, when I first started, and we'll talk about this in a little bit too, like channeling her and writing to her, my poems, I thought like this, nothing gets better than this. This is it, the way that made me feel. But then by the end, I was starting to think, oh, I feel like they're done, but I don't know if they're good enough now. Like I'm writing other stuff. My stuff's changing. Enter ramblings. So I'm really lucky, I guess, that I have had you, Sherry, to say, no, that's fine, do that. But you know, honor that container and finish that one as well because it's there. And, you know, sure, sometimes you do have to let projects go, but I've known all along that Gypsy had to follow Monk, and Awakened Healer will follow Gypsy. Like, that's just, nothing else will be out there until that trilogy is complete. And that's just my own, and maybe I'm wrong, but for right now, that's where I'm at in my own writing to heal, writing to journey, writing to be awakened. And, you know, my writing, my creativity is very, very interwoven with my spiritual rising, my trusting spirit, and my spiritual journey. So it's that whole trying to find that balance of trust, believe in yourself, pushing through, keep going, and knowing there's no final outcome. There is, you know, I've got a new saying, which I
love
think
it.
going to go into a book after Ramblings, and it's sort of like, you know, let's face it, the destination is death, everyone. So, you know, if we're all destined for death,
Yes.
if we're all destined
Yes.
for death, we're never, the final outcome isn't until we're on that deathbed, or however that happens for all of us. Sorry to throw a dampener on it, but
no, it's not a damper at all. I think we need to be talking about this.
The truth. So, you know, like, you know, there's never going to be that happy. And I heard someone on an interview the other day. She wrote Happily Never After, and she says, like, there's this constant desire for us to you know, get that house, get that job, then I'll be happy. When we surrender and come into the moment, and it spoke to me so much, I felt like it was me talking. When you surrender and come into the moment and realize, well, no, let's just get the content, or let's just embrace this mess. We talk about it all the time. Sherry's messy middle. Let's just be in the cocoon. You know, right now I got my pretty jacket on. Actually, my soul is jacket on. I'm the butterfly right now. But let's face it, there will be transitions, there will be transformations. We are constantly evolving. There is no final outcome. And I think that's so important we remember that with our writing. And to, you know, look back and know that what we created in the past was perfect for that moment, and it's still perfect for people on their journey. People are still telling me, and it wasn't that long ago, but they're like, I read these letters, oh my goodness, they really spoke to me, and that's what I want. And you know, I still am like, oh, I need to visit some of those letters. And, you know, it's safe for us to ebb and flow. It's safe for us to go back and forward, and it's always so much easier to say this in a podcast than when we're actually living it. But, you know, that's what we're here for too, to remind our listeners that it's safe for us to let go of the outcome and just be and show up and give and start for us.
That's so magic. It really is magic. Yeah. And I think what you just said there too is to remember that, yeah, you are the butterfly right now. You're holding the book.
Yeah.
And you're going to start a new book, and you're going to go back though.
Yeah.
And then you'll go through the whole process again, which is what we just kind of talked about. So each book, you know, is the caterpillar, cocoon, butterfly. Each and every one. And the important one is not to get stuck in the cocoon, because it will let you. You know, if you know, the cocoon can be
Gypsy,
really.
The night before Gypsy got, you know, press publish on lulu.com, the night before publish got pressed, I was like, actually, this poem I've written for Ramblings, I think that needs to go in Gypsy, actually. And then I was just sabotaged. I know, overthinking, ego, overthinking. No, Gypsy's done. 2 weeks ago, I was like,
exactly.
I'm going to share it. Like, you know, so it's just checking in with self and honoring your true desires. And my true desire was to share Gypsy. It was my intention this month. Publish Gypsy, launch Gypsy, and thank you, Moon. Thank you, the power of intention.
There we
Here
go.
she is. So, shall I read it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so
she's powerful. Yes, please.
Like I said, Evolve was written. Actually, it was the last poem I wrote for Gypsy, and I knew it was the last poem, and I was having a really rough day, and I was editing Gypsy and I was loving it, and I was getting really frustrated with my beautiful girls who were playing happily in the sunshine, and I couldn't even pinpoint what was frustrating me. And then I remembered it was because it's exactly what we're talking about. Gypsy wasn't giving me that spark, because it's not up to Gypsy to give me that spark. It's up to me to give me that spark. So Gypsy and I sat with one another, and I wrote her this final poem, Evolve. Aches visit, turmoil creeps in, breath remains. Hearts hurt, tender tears trickle, truth remains. Words spoken, connections broken, peace remains. Peace remains. There is no burying Gypsy now. In the sea of surrender, in the sea of forgiveness, in the sea of just being, Gypsy lives, alive and well in each of us. And then I felt better. I was like, oh yeah, Gypsy's still here. Gypsy's in all of us. I'm allowed to go and get a cup of tea and sit in the sunshine and relax. You know, so that poem to me was just like, no, there's never an end until we die. Enter idea for next book in future.
Exactly. And so many permissions, right? So many different permissions we need to give ourselves.
Yeah.
Stop using ourselves as punching bags, people.
Ridiculous. Yeah, but we do.
But
so that was Evolve.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I'd also go say, when you with Evolve and wanting to go back and like pulling out and stuff, and you said Lulu. Why did you choose Lulu?
Do you know what? I'm so everything's just so spirit led in my world, and it was literally when the week that you gave me permission to become a writer, Sherry. we're like soul sisters forever because of that. The week you gave me permission to do that, I had a friend who was doing an exchange. I think I was gifting her a healing session, and she had just been at a friend's book launch and they had published using Lulu, and she's like, how hard can it be? I'll help you. So we started this really beautiful energy exchange where I would offer spiritual healing, and she just helped me edit, put it into Lulu. So it was really just her preference. She knew it. She tried it out, and I went with that. Okay. And also, my daughter's name's Lulu. So yeah, I thought that was
okay. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, some people have actually asked. They're like, "Oh, is that because you call Lucy Lulu?" I'm like, "Sure, I don't know." Yeah, so and I did look around for Gypsy, but because she's the trilogy, I wanted the same size, the same size, same cover. A little bit of the OCD,
right.
Kate. I want the same size books sitting with one another. So so I stuck with that to get that guarantee consistency.
Nice.
In the classic book.
And are they available on e-format on Kindle? I keep meaning to ask you that, actually.
Not yet.
Writing coach, I haven't
Not yet. No, I need to get them out there. I'm just
to get those up.
I'm making my ebook fans wait. The English teacher in me, I'm such a book girl. I'm like, yes. But note to self writing coach. Let's get them.
Yes, exactly. It's like I keep meaning to ask you that, but you're getting so many other progress done that I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. I'll get them written first.
I mean, like I said, The Princess Saves Herself in this one was a massive seller because of Kindle. The fact that people could actually get this book very easily down.
Yes.
So
that's
just making sure it's not self-sabotage that's going on there.
It probably is, actually.
So many possibilities.
I think what I'm going to do is once I think I'm just going to pull my finger out and get that happening. I was going to start.
Because, it's so fast. Like, seriously, it's...
Yeah, definitely.
If you're really not sure, you go to readsy.com and you cut and paste everything in, click Convert to Mobi, and upload it. Done.
Okay, that I've got no excuse. You guys heard it here.
No excuse. It's free. They format the table of contents for you. They even add all your copyright. Like, you don't have to think about it all. You just cut and paste.
Perfect. Okay. Note to self. I'm going to be playing this podcast back and going, that's right. I'm doing it. Okay, I'm doing it. Listeners, you heard it. Yeah. No excuses. Yes. Very exciting.
Exactly. And another question I want to do then too, because for Letters to Tibet Monk, you did have a proper book launch at a bookshop. Would you be doing this again, and why or why not?
I think I definitely will do it again, just because, like, who doesn't love real life connection, right? And it was fun to put a pretty dress on, and I just did it at a local cafe, and I'll probably do it at another local cafe. But really, I think for me to do that, it was like stepping into that, I did something, and to acknowledge acknowledge it beyond, actually, I must admit, just sharing it as a social media post, that was like, that was the biggest. This recording I feel is definitely that moment. But it was just really fun to get my local community who absolutely support me and Gone Bits by the Sea together, and to just to read them. And also I'm all about promoting peace and meditation, and that's what Monk does. Every single letter has a hashtag at the end that encourages the reader to have a bit of a mindful moment and to meditate. So I played the sound bowls and I ran everyone through a meditation. So it was a little bit of, I guess, cross promotion, but also just me sharing my message of peace and meditation and the power of words. So Gypsy, I feel like Gypsy will be very mad at me if Monk got a person launch and Gypsy didn't, but it might be a little, in the springtime, we'll take Gypsy out. It was like I was toing and froing with the cost, and one of my friends is like, you can't make it cheaper than Monk. Like, what would Gypsy say about that? And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I even considered that. Like, you're right.
You can also think that Gypsy's going to be your big digital launch, that Monk was your coming out, being accepting as a writer, and also very personal, but also very small, contained launch. Whereas, Gypsy is not going to get the personal touch.
Yeah.
She's not getting the personal touch, but you can go big. You can do the whole podcast launch. You can go for different blogs. You can go for different contacts and being like, this is my book, how we launch it.
Also, it's so fitting we just read Evolved, because 6 months ago I was still very much like, oh, real people. But Sherry, try and find someone that would tell you or I that we aren't real people and this isn't real people.
Exactly.
And our listeners from, Port Macquarie, New South Wales, Australia, to a very long way away in America, that we're not developing real connection with them. And I think, again, it's an ego thing that we're like, oh, online, connection, whatever works. And at the moment, Creative Spirits has created a platform for Gypsy to work. And, chicken or the egg, like, was Gypsy written for this? Was this written for Gypsy? It doesn't even matter. It's working. And I feel like sharing this and sharing my poems this way is so much bigger than getting a beautiful group of souls together, which I'm sure I'll do because I love any excuse for a bubble and a party. But sharing this way is the launch, and actually probably putting it in an ebook as well. Yeah. I got coached.
Bigger and better, always growth, right?
I got coached in my own launch interview, listeners. Did you hear that?
Can't help it.
You can't help it. I love it. Yeah.
I mean, this was actually something we talked about in Harness Your Healing Brilliance with Sarah K. Jones. Like, sometimes I just can't help it. I'm like, oh, I found a solution for you. I'll do this. Now, the important thing to remember, though, people, is that no matter what someone's telling you and how much they want to help you, you take that advice and then you feed it through your own filter and go, no, it works, or yes, it does. You know what I mean? Or actually, it does work, but I should do it this way. Because this is the important thing, that I want to help. I really want to help. But just because what I'm suggesting may not always be right. The important thing is that you're open to listening and then going, yeah, this bit works, this one doesn't. Yeah. Throw away the rest.
Yeah. Definitely the biggest message there.
Exactly. With everything. Just because, you're paying someone.
And as always,
doesn't
that's
mean they're
not
right.
just with writing, not just creating, not just, whoever's holding space for you whenever they are. This is with friendship. This is with family. This is just with everything. And this is what Gypsy's all about. She is absolutely all about, no, what do I need? What do I desire? What do I deserve? And go get that.
Yes.
Go get that.
Yes.
And of course, do it in a loving, kind, generous way. But do you always. Yes.
And I love that, because exactly. And when it comes down to it, whatever style launch you decide to do or not do. And this is the other thing too, what we've been talking about the whole entire season and this whole entire podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? Well, this is just it, though. This is the book launch podcast. It started, but, it doesn't have to be a certain way. It always has to be I think this is something we always struggle with. And I talk about, the clutching, this, you have this idea of what it needs to look like, and you have this idea of what the outcome needs to be, instead of just trusting the process and being there in the moment and enjoying it. We're so obsessed with, does it look the way it's supposed to look, that we forget to enjoy one of the biggest moments of our lives, which is like, I wrote a freaking book. Like, I have it physically in my hands. I have moved from those people who want to write, who do write but don't publish, to who actually publish. My words are out there. People can buy my work. This is huge and is worth celebrating.
Yes.
Really,
and please buy my work.
And no one else gets to dictate that.
Let us do
yes, absolutely.
To A Wild Gypsy Spirit. Out now. Kate Darnell.
And very soon she'll have it on Kindle too.
Yeah, I will. You wait. Let me know, listeners. Let me know.
All right.
Yeah. Do you know, because like I occasionally will download Kindle books, usually the free ones. I admit it. And so I forget, because I'm such a hold the book person. So maybe we need to do a Creative Spirits poll and find out who wants it on Kindle. Yeah. Yes. Accountability poll.
I haven't bought a physical book.
Yeah. Well, it'd be hard for it to come to you. Yeah. Yes.
This is just it. And they get moldy and smelly on the boat.
Yeah. I don't know. Gypsy doesn't want to get moldy and smelly.
No. So all my books, they all go Christmas time. I order a bunch, and they all go to Canada. Yeah, and then I'll pick through, and then yep. Indulge. Yeah, no, but most of them are Kindle.
Okay.
Gotta say. All right. Well, speaking then that, should we end with your last poem?
Yes.
So yes, exactly. Kindle, I think it's huge. If you want people to reach you, Kindle.
Okay, I'm doing it. It's happening. This poem is towards the end of so Evolve was the last poem. We're like the last poem of the book. We're constantly evolving, but I wanted to shake it up because I want you to read the whole collection of poems in their order. Cheeky Gypsy. See, Gypsy's like just saying it how it is. Gypsy's not pretending. So this one's called Dust Settles,
which I love.
And the dust settles. Well, again, even when the dust settles, there's still more, isn't there? There's something that will still rile you up. You might go, yeah, content now. Oh, that's making me mad. So the dust settles just has you thinking, gets you thinking, I'll share, and then you can all let me know how you think or if you thought. Dust settles.
Love it.
Roar,
love it.
Scream. Stomp until it hurts. Roar, scream, stomp until it no longer hurts. Roar, scream, stomp until you know that you are nowhere else other than right here. Free to contemplate, free to be exactly as you need. We no longer need to scream internally. Instead, we rise and lead the way.
Love it. That's actually the perfect ending for this podcast.
I thought so too, because we are going to rise, and we're all going to lead the way by being our unique, vibrant, beautiful selves, and by trusting in us, investing in us, loving us now. I'm all fired up.
It's perfect. And on that note, actually, do you have anything else you would like to add that we didn't cover? Because I just think this was a wonderful, perfect podcast. But you are the star of the hour. So share anything extra you'd like to say?
You are heaven sent, totally divine goddess. Thank you, Sherry. Like, if it wasn't for you, there's no way I would have suggested this. So yay for Creative Spirits podcast, and yay for sisters supporting sisters.
Yes.
This is win-win, because it's from a heartfelt place of literally wanting to rise and support your sisters, and more to this, women, like more of this, because Sherry didn't ask me to say how awesome Creative Mermaids is, or her coaching. I didn't ask her to offer highlighting poems to a Wild Gypsy Spirit in Creative Spirits, but it's just happened because we love one another and want the best for one another. And, it's what we want for all our listeners too. So thank you, everyone, for listening. And thank you, Sherry. I love you. Real life
connection. Kate, you just made my day. Thank you.
Real life connection. I love you. Can everyone feel the love? I know. And yeah, like I've already mentioned some beautiful people that made this happen, but I just can't help but say Caroline from Wild Heart Rising yet again, to put it in a book is just amazing. You know, to have that support when you're self-publishing, I'm very, very blessed. My beautiful soully Jenna, who doesn't even know that I've got her velvet coat on tonight, and she will watch this on YouTube, so thank you. And my beautiful friend Emily.
I'm like, wait, that's my coat.
Yeah, right. She felt some of my fear at a full moon and was like, no, just share them with me, and then it's a start. And she reminded me, you know, of how important it is for us to rise one another up and just share them. So yeah, special shout outs to all my beautiful family and friends. And Sherry, thank you. And yay, happy Friday to you, and happy happy sharing the podcast, everyone, and happy reading Gypsy. I can't wait to hear what everyone thinks.
Once again, a published author, Kate Darnell.
You just said author. Okay.